Namaste, my friends. Welcome to this beautiful satsang. Today is a full moon day, and we are talking about a beautiful subject. Before I go there, I just want to say a happy Holi to all of you. Today is we call it Holika Dahan. So Holika is being burnt, and that is the negative, we say. And actually she was trying to burn Prahlad, but Prahlad is the bhakta of Vishnu, and he is called Vishnu with all his heart. So instead of Prahlad, Holika got into the fire. So it says that we need to also acknowledge Holika in Holi. All of you can hear me well? Ruchi ji, my sound is good? Okay, great. Wonderful. So without wasting any further time, we have a very beautiful master. I have heard him over the internet speaking about my favorite subject, Shiva Shakti. And we are going to listen to this beautiful master, his words, and we will have a meditation. So I invite Amitabh Shwetaji. I'm going to just pin him. Namaste, namaste, sir. Welcome.
Namaste, everybody. I bow down to the divinity in you. Thank you for having me over, Aditya.
It's wonderful having you with us, Amitabh ji. It's very nice that I'm talking to you live today. It's amazing. Thank you for being here.
Welcome for having me. So we can start off with a question and answer session if you want to, Aditya ji.
Okay, I have so many questions about this beautiful subject. What comes to me is what is this Vigyan that from you we want to hear the Shiva Shakti Vigyan. What is this Shiva Shakti Vigyan?
Shiva Shakti Vigyan approaches the very traditional method of what we know as Trika Tantra, or the most superior way of self-realization, as it said. Aditya, you can keep yourself off on not muted, if possible. Thank you. So, it's also known as a monoistic approach towards self-realization. Monoism means non-dualism. See, we always keep thinking in this world, this is good, that is bad, this is right, that is wrong. This is Shiva, that is Shakti. But beyond all this, there is something which is unmoved at all moments of time. That singularity where everything originates from itself. This whole entire creation of this universe, and moreover many, many other universes, starts happening from that nothingness, from that singularity, from that God consciousness itself. That God consciousness is right now inside of everybody. Like what we know as Shiva being in the Jiva himself. That God consciousness is known as Shiva himself. A particle, tiny little particle or a droplet of that ocean of consciousness is inside of you all right now. That is the Shiva. Of course, you're a matter, that is the body. I'm not one of those who will say, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. I always say, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the senses. And these are the divine instruments of Shakti herself. So there is no denial from this body, there is no denial from this mind and its thought processes. And there is certainly no denial on the senses with which I can experience divinity as well. That is about Shiva Shakti. And to take the knowledge of that and have a direct experience of this consciousness and this energy is the Vigyan part of it.
So, Vigyan means science.
Yes, it does.
So it has evidence.
Everything has an evidence, because if this God consciousness and this energy, as I said the word before, a direct experience how to have of this, that is the science. And this science is also known as Tantra for that matter, where one utilizes the body, where one utilizes the cognitive abilities of the mind, and where one utilizes the senses as well for that matter. When you apply all these three together, you start entering into this Shiva and Shakti, consciousness and energy, that is known as bliss. You've heard about a term known as Sat Chit Ananda. Truth, awareness and bliss. That awareness that underlies your reality itself, and that energy which binds together, like, making your eyes see, making your ears hear, making your mouth speak. When we utilize those energies fully, they name it as Tantra as well. Tan means the body, and the word Tra comes from Shastra, or the science. Science of self-realization via utilizing this body, via utilizing the cognitive abilities of the mind, and via utilizing the sensory organs themselves. So yeah, that's why Shiva Shakti Vigyan.
Beautiful. And Amitabh ji, let us hear more about Tantra from you, because this is our science from India, and very few people in India knows about Tantra. And many of us, when we hear Tantra, we want to run away. What is this? Like some black magic or something?
Yes. So there are two kinds of approaches that people believe Tantra is. Like, firstly they think about Tantra as Tantricism, or the black magic and magical part of it. Yes, a true yogi can dive deeper into the tattvas themselves and change time and space for you as well. But those are mere plays of the mind and the ego self, or the ahamkara itself. That is not real Tantra. Otherwise, people believe that Tantra is all about sex, because people have been the Western world has thought Tantra as sex, because Osho said something from sex to superconsciousness, and he talked about Tantra over there as well. But we have to understand out here in totality that Tantra is about self-realization. Who am I? What runs me as me? What gives me this ability to experience the world? Where does this universe originate from? Who's everything is whirling and whirling and whirling, and who is at the center of it all? What caused the creation itself? What is the seed of creation? How may we realize it fully and totally? These are the exact words from Vigyana Bhairava Tantra, a book that is known as secret of all the secrets. Now that's a conversation between Shiva and Devi, both of them, where she asks him same questions as I asked you: where I originate from, what is my purpose, what exactly is happening, what is this wonderful, wonderful universe, where it is originating from. All of us are seeking these answers at the end of the day. And when Devi asks these questions to Shiva, he certainly does not give her any philosophy like the way I am giving you right now. He just gives her 112 definitive sutras, which are known as Vigyan Bhairava Tantra. That is one of the Agama texts. Agama is where Shiva teaches Devi about self-realization. And then there are Nigama texts, where Devi teaches Shiva about self-realization. And there are plenty of these Agama and Nigama texts. There is Rudramayala Tantra, there is Vijaymalini Tantra, there is Vigyan Bhairava, where there is Kaula Tantra, there is Tripura Rahasya, there is Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Paramartha Sara, there is Stava Chintamani. There are so many texts which are there for us to take us towards this self-realization in totality. But more than the words and the reading of the words, the direct experience of self-realization is very, very necessary as well. And those techniques to have that direct realization are known as Yoga Darshana as well. Or in Kashmir Shaivism, it's known as Samavesha. Or in Yoga, it's known as Samadhi as well. To have the direct realization and a direct experience of this consciousness and energy that is going through you, there are these 112 definitive meditations which are given by Shiva to Devi. And that is the Vigyan Bhairava itself. I think Karuna has a question out here. Let's go towards that.
Okay, yeah. Karuna ji, you want to unmute and...
No.
Okay, I thought there was a question there.
No,
All right, no problem.
Okay.
I'm listening. It's really wonderful.
Thank you. Yes.
Namaste.
Aditya. I hope that satisfies the question here.
Yes, and listening to you, I'm just very curious to know your journey.
My journey started back in 1998, where it was a sudden awakening that, I'm not the most fit person to live in this society. Always felt out of the place, for that matter. And always searching for the truth, always searching for why exactly am I a misfit in this society? Why am I so different? Why cannot I converse very, very much properly with the people? Why people don't get me how I think? It was quite a, I was quite a misfit at that moment of time. And there was a spontaneous kind of an awakening that happened in 1998 itself, but I didn't realize what exactly that was. Back in then, 2001, I went into, I was in Goa at some point of time. And everybody goes to Goa to kind of realize their self through the hedonism that there is as well. So I went there as well. I was there for about 3 years. And one day somebody told me, why don't you come for a crystal healing session? Went over there, and there was a singing bowls were there, and they placed crystals on us. And kind of a very amazing experience happened there as well. But coming back to my work and everything like that, I've always had a master's in fitness sciences, for that matter, from California, International Sports Science Association. And I used to run sets of gyms at that very moment of time. Had a proper six-pack and 16-inch arms and things as well. So supported all that too for about 10 years of my life. But somewhere down the line, in 2003 or something like that, I had a big breakup, okay, with a girl. And this breakup led me, like my poundages in the gym dropped completely. Where I was lifting about 250, 260 pounds, I started lifting about 150 pounds. Couldn't reach that state. And somewhere I realized, my muscle has the memory of how much I lift. But there must be something going on inside my mind itself that I cannot lift that hard. So went towards psychology, for that matter, to understand psychology much better. Came across neuro-linguistic programming, came across self-hypnosis as well, and dived deep into those subjects, and neuroscience as well, to understand the human brain and its capacities. From there, somehow naturally you get, you find your pathway to meditations itself. And 2006, 2007, I went for Vipassana. Trust me, the first Vipassana I went for made me more confused than I was before. Seriously. Gladly, Goenka sir was very much alive at that moment of time, and he used to take the classes in Igatpuri. And at the end of the class, and I went and I said, nothing happened. I'm more confused than what I came here. What happens now? And he said, nothing happens now, beta. You come 3 months later and do another 10 days. And then after 3 months, you come for another 21 days after that. And so things happened like that. And another awakening kind of an experience happens in the 21-day course. Namaste. Thank you. Another experience happens there. And just life went on. First few years, I was very, very irregular with my meditations as well. So 2006, 7, 8, nearly till about 9 went by where there was no regularity. And then somebody, Facebook was very, very young at that moment of time. And I got a message from a friend of mine, Amitabh, read this. All my friends read this, it had said. And there was a Osho's small, tiny little article saying, above all, don't wobble. He simply said, when you're sitting on a chair, you're sitting on a chair right now, right? When you want to get up and you want to walk, you will walk. But now you're sitting on a chair, and then you would want to walk. You don't do, should I get up, should I sit, should I get up, should I sit, should I get up, should I sit for a long period of time, ever. So he said, above all, don't wobble. And that established me. That's established me completely towards my meditative practice, towards my yogic practice as well. And that turned me towards one of his books, Osho's books, which is known as the Book of Secrets, as it's called, which explains the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra. But only reading Osho was not enough. I said, I know Sanskrit. I can read and write Sanskrit very well. Why don't I dive deep into the scriptures themselves and see what exactly they are? And on that journey of reading the Vigyan Bhairava, I came across Ranjit Chaudhary, then Jaidev Singh, and then finally I stumbled across this man known as Master of Masters, known as Swami Lakshmanju. Whenever masters wanted to learn something, like Anandamayi Ma, your Amma, Mahesh Yogi, even these people, whenever they used to get stuck as far as their work was concerned, they used to run to this master known as Swami Lakshmanju, a Kashmir Shaivite master which believes in this monoistic approach and a principle that everything derives and comes out of this primordial, never-ending consciousness that is. And that really struck me because they were not. And he said, the energy and the consciousness are not differing at all. They are the one. Without one, the other cannot exist. Without the other, this one cannot exist. Both of them have to be present together. And that took me towards deeper studies, and the studies went on for about 11 years of my life. In fact, 12 years, in fact, now. And just about last year, from my guru, who has a 900-year lineage of Kashmir Shaivism, unbroken lineage, I received the Gurutva as well from him. That's my journey. And I take classes and things like that on Kundalini awakening, on Tantra, on many, many different scriptures that come across our ways as well.
Wow. Always delights. It's like a delight to hear the journey.
That delight, what you hear in itself is the Shakti moving through your ears, which gives you the energy to hear, you know.
Beautiful. And we want to hear more about Kashmiri Shaivism. Exactly, how is it different?
Kashmir Shaivism came across and took everything that the yoga and Tantra had to offer till date. Tantra was very, very scattered at that very moment of time, they say. Like, you know, Tantra came first, yoga came after that, or yoga came first, Tantra came after that. Some people are still in that duality of which came first, egg or the chicken. And in that duality, people don't realize that one has to abide themselves if they want to walk towards self-realization completely. They have to abide themselves in all three things. First is bhakti. Second is jnana. These are the three Shaktis of Shiva. There are actually 5 Shaktis which come out of Shiva. Let me go very precise with that. First 2 Shaktis are always his own. The energy of consciousness, Chitta Shakti. And then energy of bliss, Ananda Shakti. These are his 2 personal energies. But with an intermingling of those consciousness and bliss together, he wants to create many, many more. That's why we all are the separated jivas. So the jivas get 3 Shaktis to operate with. To understand the Chitta Shakti, the energy of consciousness, to be into Samavesha of the consciousness energy, and to have a complete bliss in your life itself. Now, bliss is different from happiness and sadness. Happiness comes up, goes away. Sadness comes up, goes away. Beyond all this is eternal bliss itself. And that eternal bliss and consciousness, if you want to realize and have that direct experience of the two, one needs to apply themselves firstly in bhakti. Second is jnana. And the third is kriya. What do I mean by bhakti? Bhakti is not only going to your own mandir in the house and just doing and coming out. That is not bhakti. With absolute and total devotion, you have to love God Himself. And that devotion is in the heart. That is not outside of you. It always is in the heart. That love, that devotion is not fear. People say to me, I am God-fearing. And I say, be God-loving, no? Why to be God-fearing? When you're God-loving, the bhakti is always there inside of us all. So I'll read out something by Stava Chintamani from Stava Chintamani, which is in the words of Utpala Deva. That will make us understand what bhakti, how deep it can go to you. He says, my wish to be neither an ascetic who is indifferent to the world, nor a manipulator of supernatural powers, neither a worshipper craving liberation, but only to become drunk on the abundant wine of devotion. Without all these expectations and desires comes bhakti. Love, absolute love towards God. And that is in your heart at all moments of time. You don't need to go outwardly. You just have to reach inwardly towards your heart. And he and she are always present there at all points of time. So that is bhakti. Second is jnana. if you do not take knowledge about where exactly you're heading to, what are the obstacles, and how exactly to maneuver through this roadmap of spirituality. And that roadmap of spirituality is abundant. You have Vedas, Vedantas, you have, you have so many texts, Bhagavad Gita for that matter. You have Shiva Samhita, you have Shiva Sutras, you have Vigyan Bhairava, you have Rudramayala, you have so many aspects, Upanishads, so many Hatha Yoga Pradipika, you have Goraksha Samhita, Yoga, Gita Vasishtha. You have so many amazing avenues to take in this knowledge from. That is the jnana itself. So you have to read something out. Read one sutra daily, from Bhagavad Gita or any kind of book. But it should be a scripture. An ancient scripture, that too. And this ancient scriptures will always take you deeper and because they are seeds, they are sutras. All of them are very short. They are not heavy mantras or songs of devotion or anything like that. They are sutras making you understand in totality what you are. I'll read one thing out of the Tripura Rahasya now. Tripura Rahasya says, who is fearless? He says, man without attachments is fearless. Only when we have attachment, then we have fears, no? He's then the question is asked by the sadhaka, who is free from miseries? The one whose mind is in his control. That person is free from all the miseries. And then the question is asked, who is never needy? A self-realized man is never needy. He doesn't require any other support because he is all full with everything any which ways. So that's I gave you an example how enlightening these sutras can be. And each and every sutra gives you that sudden flash of enlightenment itself. Why don't we take it on a daily basis? So that's the jnana principle. But now, only so many people do only bhakti. The slowest path is always the bhakti. People realize the self at the end of their life with only bhakti being applied. Only bhakti. Then there are those individuals who are only taking the academic knowledge from the scriptures, and they'll talk the scriptures. But there is no direct experience for them. And there is certainly no practice of anything. And that practice is known as Kriya Shakti of Paramashiva. When you lay down that asana mat, when you sit for your meditation and do your regular work on yourself, when you apply all these three together, jnana, kriya and bhakti, that's the trident of Trika. When you apply all the three things, self-realization, my friends, is not 12 years away. It's available to you within months to come. That is what Kashmir Shaivism can offer you. I'll give you an example. If you've studied yoga a little bit, or the philosophy of yoga a little bit, there are tattvas, we know as, or the 25 tattvas are there, Samkhya philosophy as it's called. Sama Akhya, that which completes everything, has 25 tattvas or creators inside. They make us realize how exactly we are taking in knowledge from the outside world, how exactly this ability to learn, hear, see, feel, touch, taste, smell, where exactly they are coming from, what are our organs of cognition, what are our organs of action, What are your inner organs of realization? Like, you have a mind known as manas, you have a buddhi known as intellect, and then you have ahamkara, aham akara, which is the limited I consciousness. With which, how do you interrelate, and how your nature in a being is created, known as prakriti. But who this prakriti is laid on to? The Purusha himself. Here the Samkhya philosophy ends. Beautifully, Kashmir Shaivism says, no. It's still not complete here. And then we move into 11 more tattvas. Because Kashmir Shaivism came in so late, after Advaita Vedanta was finished, after yogic philosophies were finished, after Upanishads, Vedas were finished, after Puranas were written down, after all that comes Kashmir Shaivism, which is basically, it is supposedly founded by Abhinava Gupta 900 years ago. Abhinava Gupta was this scholar and a master of self-realization, they say. He took many under his wing, like Utpaladeva. He wrote things like Rudramayala Tantra as well. He wrote things like Tantra Sara as well. Tantra Sara, in fact, had 60,000 verses. Only 6,000 are available to us till date. Other 54,000 have disappeared fully. Now, my urge is not to have this knowledge getting disappeared in the generations to come. My viewpoint is to give this knowledge to you people so that you can realize the self and move forward.
So, this jnana, like for a beginner, because sometimes these books can be like a little complicated for a.
Oh, very, very complicated.
So, what is your recommendation for like a beginner?
I would start with something like Shiva Purana first.
Okay.
Yeah. Read one shloka and the meaning and understanding of that shloka.
Would you recommend any particular?
Or just read the Shiva Purana as is. Dr. Ramesh Menon has a very amazing tiny little book known as Siva, Siva. Shiva
Okay.
Purana retold, Siva.
Okay.
Start with that. Once finished, you can always get back in touch with me, guys, and I can suggest you
Wow.
the next ones. It's good to be having technologically savvy nowadays.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would have had to travel to Kolkata to go meet you guys. But I do keep coming often to that beautiful city.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just getting. This thought is lingering at the back of my mind
Same.
about Shakti, because I'm so interested in Shakti.
Right.
She's always playful and she's confusing at times, and she's.
No, your mind is confusing, Aditya.
So isn't that
With the experience, you confused it with the mind. Shakti, my friend, is what we know as the Kundalini. We have 3 channels, in the body. Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. Pingala is where your life force goes up and down the spinal channel. Ida is where your energy of consciousness moves up and down the spinal channel. And the third one is known as Sushumna, where your Kundalini Shakti or your Adi Shakti or Ma herself, who created this entire universe, is available to you to tap into as well. Now, Ida is known as the Chandraswara or Moon Nadi. Yeah. Pingala is known as Surya Nadi or the positive polarity. You've seen a tiny little cell, which goes into your watches and clocks and everything like that. It has a positive node, it has a negative node. The same way Ida and Pingala work. But the neutral channel is known as the Kundalini Shakti. Sushumna, through which the Kundalini Shakti goes up and down. She's non-dual, so there is no... You can't confuse yourself with her. That's the reality. But our two hemispheres, which are separate, no, that makes us get confused. What is this? This is this reality, or was that reality?
So, today morning I was in my bathtub and I had a question. And I was asking about death. And I just left that question. I sank down in my water, and at some point of time, I got an answer. It's just a thought.
Of course. That's really beautiful, Aditya, because it's just a thought. Life and death, it's like a, as I said before, on this ocean of consciousness, a bubble comes up and then disappears, no? But the ocean of consciousness is the same. That's where the way our life comes up as a bubble on this ocean of consciousness, stays for a little while and disappears. But what happens in that bubble of our lives? We embed that onto ourselves. That's what we think, that, oh, that is the real experience, of life. The real experience of life is in that ocean of consciousness when you take a dip into that.
So, as you said, that's the second thing I was coming. When I said death is just a thought, the preceding thing was life is also a thought. And then the next thing that came is this is also a thought.
Right. But who's viewing the thought, Aditya? Who is viewing that thought, this thought, and the third thought as well?
I would say still I go into an intellectual understanding with that. Maybe it's not
Right.
still an experience
Right.
yet.
Okay, so let's move towards that experience itself with about a 20-minute meditation now. So guys, this meditation is going to be for 20 minutes. And in these 20 minutes, firstly, sit comfortably. If you're sitting on an office chair also, it's okay. If you're sitting on a sofa, it's okay. If you're sitting on an easy chair, it's okay. And keep your videos on, please, because it feels like only me and Aditya are here right now. The rest of you are black screens. So just keep your videos on if possible. So this meditation is going to be for about 20 minutes, and it's a very, very simple meditation. You just have to follow the words of my voice. Okay? For the first few minutes, I'll give you the technique and give you a silence after that. Then I'll give you another technique and give you a silence after that. Whenever the mind becomes, don't try to quiet the mind down if the too many thoughts are coming in. Just be a witness, just like, I said to Aditya right now, who is the witness of these thoughts? We have to seek that itself. So no trying to quiet the mind down, because in meditation, guys, you have to understand that when you say to yourself that my mind doesn't go quiet, how to make my mind quiet in meditation, that itself is a fight. You don't have to battle the mind to quiet the mind down, You have to view it as is, without a judgment that like, no, my thoughts are too many today, and no, I am very, very quiet today. No, we don't do that in Kashmir Shaivism. Allow the thought, just like that bubble came up, sustained itself for a while, and then disappeared into that ocean of consciousness. Just that way your thoughts come up, stay, and leave you. Just be an observer of all this. Without, oh, I have this problem, without, oh, I have that problem, oh, I can't make my mind quiet, how am I sitting down, this part of my body is aching, that is happening, this is happening, that, all this, no. It's just a play, it's nothing. Just like that silence. You'll get there eventually. So, just sit comfortable for today. But you have to keep your back erect, that's all. Take a backrest also and everything, we don't mind you doing that. If you want to take your legs and keep it straight, do that. If you have problems in the knees for sitting like 20 minutes, keep your legs straight, but keep your back erect. And then understand this. Even sage Patanjali in Yoga Sutras of Patanjali says in the second chapter, Sthira Sukham Asanam. Posture should be comfortable and still. Sthira means comfortable. Sthira means stable and Sukha means comfortable. So let your posture be very comfortable so that you forget that you are a body. Sit very, very comfortably today. And once you have assumed your posture for meditation, just gently close your eyes. Once you have closed your eyes, make sure there are no unnecessary movements of the body. Sit in stillness and sit comfortably. And welcome all the sounds from the outside world and let them not disturb you from this very moment onward. Allow every sound to come and go. Just be oblivious to all that is happening outside of you. And take your awareness to your breath. Just notice and witness yourself. Breathing in, breathing out. Naturally at this very moment. Just watching the breath go in, watching the breath coming out. And just being aware of this breath. There is no focus here. There is no concentration here. But just a gentle awareness. I'm going to leave you in this awareness of the breath for the next few moments to come. And if your mind gets too busy with thoughts, just gently guide yourself back to the awareness of this breath. Continue the practice all by yourself for the very next few moments. Breathing in, breathing out, naturally. Just noticing yourself breathing in and breathing out. Your belly rising as you breathe in and falling back to its natural state as you breathe out. Continue the practice. And as you breathe in and breathe out, and just before you breathe in again, there's a natural pause that occurs between the two breaths. You breathe in, breathe out, and just before you breathe in again, observe this pause. Breathing in, out. Observe this pause between the breaths. You breathe in, out, and observing this pause between the breaths. Inhale, exhale, observe the pause between the breaths. Breathing in, out. Observe this pause. Breathing in, out. Observe this pause between the breaths. Inhale, exhale, wait before you're breathing again and observe this pause. Inhale, exhale, Observe the pause between the breaths. Breathing in, breathing out. Observe this pause. Inhale. Exhale. Observe this pause. Breathing in, out. Observe this pause. Breathing in, out. Observe this natural gap or the pause between the two breaths. Continue breathing in, breathing out. And continue to prolong the gap and observe this gap between the two breaths. Breathe in, out. Observe this gap and continue the practice at your own pace for the next few minutes to come. And gathering all this awareness and returning back into your physical realm, the body itself. Just start breathing naturally and stop watching the gap between the two breaths. Take a deep breath in, filling your lungs completely till the bottom. Exhale fully, emptying your lungs completely. Breathe in deep. Exhale fully. Breathing in deep. Exhale fully. Rub the palms of your hands together, generating heat. Put them over your eyes and your face. Keeping your hands over your eyes and your face, take another deep breath in. Exhale fully. Coming into a pose of Namaste at the heart center. Thanking the consciousness, thanking the energy, thanking Shiva, and thanking the Shakti of Shiva. And thanking yourself to spend some time in this meditation. With all your gratitude, breathe in deep and repeat after me. Om Namah Shivaya. And gently, gently open your eyes. Thank you.
Actually, it's so deep, I don't want to come back.
Yes, it's like, the ability of this is like, I'm going to read the sutra out for you guys, especially. Sutra says, Kumbhita rechita vapi purita va yadha bhavet tadante shanta namasau shaktya shanta prakashate. He says, when the energy of the breath is retained outside of the body on exhalation, my peaceful state is revealed by the means of Shakti. Again. Kumbhita rechita vapi purita va yada bhavet tadante shanta namasau shaktya shanta prakashate. He says the Shakti will show you how tranquil I am. That is my nature, Shiva says to Devi. And only between the gaps, you know what? That silent state, what you always crave for, is available to you between two thoughts and between two breaths. You can use this technique as an awareness technique when the mind has become 10-pointed as well. When you become aware of that. Just go to your breath going in, breath coming out, and just little while wait till you breathe in again. All that fighting used to happen before. My mind doesn't go quiet in meditation. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? All that will go away. I'll tell you how. Take one of your fingers, two fingers of yours. Just squeeze your nose. Now open your nose. Breathe in. Breathe out. And pinch your nose after that. And tell me if any thoughts come. You have to keep pinching your nose. You can't breathe. So breathe in again. Breathe out. And pinch your nose. And try to think of anything that you want to. Keep pinching your nose. Release. Breathe in. Breathe out. And once you have taken the breath out, pinch your nose. And start to think. See if any thoughts are available there. Release. Within the few moments itself, you might have noticed, oh, I can't think of anything suddenly. And that is the amazing meditation that I give you from the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra today. To watch the gap between the two breaths. And slowly and steadily that gap will start increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing as your breath also will slow down. And suddenly the rise of the Shakti to meet the Lord Shiva himself at the Sahasrara Chakra. Trust me, within days, if you follow this technique intensely, whenever you can, with eyes open, with eyes closed, do a 20-minute practice just how we did today, regularly for 20 days maybe, and see where exactly you come to. And I think that's about it for today. Aditya ji, thank you so very much for having me on this amazing Sangha of yours. And I hope the practice will continue with this Sangha of this specific meditation technique. You can search me on the internet as Shiva Shakti Vigyan as one word. We are there on Facebook. I think Aditya can guide you through over there as well. If you want to get in touch with me, please do share my number as well.
Sure.
You can always feel free to WhatsApp me as well, ask me questions as well, and I'll be glad to answer.
Wonderful. So I am just a little quieter, I think, after the meditation. Thank you for reminding us about this very powerful, most simple technique. If you have like another 2-5 minutes, so maybe if any one or two questions.
Sure, why not?
The group. Yeah.
Sure, you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Balaji.
Yeah, Mr. G. Yeah, namaste. My question is, we are talking more on Shiva, Shakti and all that. Is it, this goes to a person who's also praying to Vishnu, Lakshmi, and they don't read the Puranam and all that. So how?
So read the Bhagavad Gita. The truth is in the Bhagavad Gita any which ways. But practice what he says, what Krishna says as well.
All right.
He says the way of yoga, Kriya yoga is the way to go. He says the exact same words I have said. Bhakti, Jnana and Kriya. He explains that to you as well over there in Bhagavad Gita. And we take, Kashmir Shaivites take Bhagavad Gita on our heads and we keep it on our heads always because the consciousness that you call as Krishna or Christ or Muhammad or Zarathustra or Shiva or Buddha is the same consciousness that prevailed through them as human beings, as it prevails through you as well. We just have a name for it, known as Shiva. Shiva means that is not.
So my second question, if a person is already self-realized, do they really need to read scriptures and all that, Vidyas, Vedas and all that?
Do you
Because
think
the knowledge will
the
come from the universe, actually, they get the knowledge from there. So is it necessary for them to continue to read all this?
they do practice at least?
Oh.
Reading becomes unimportant at that moment of time, Palaji, because you're flowing abundantly with it. You know this whole gamut of this whole entire creation. You
So
have
the whole
realized
thing
it.
will change. The whole thing will change, is that?
You don't take jnana, like, as Shiva Sutra says in the second chapter, Shaktopaya, the first sutra itself, it says, like, all external knowledge is illusion.
Yeah.
All external knowledge is illusion. But see, these scriptures, these meditations are like injections and pills given to a sick man, Like, you have a headache, let's say, you'll take a paracetamol. Okay, you have a fever, let's say, you'll go to a doctor and take an injection of paracetamol. Then the doctor will give you these tiny little pills to follow up back at home as well. But when you're not sick, do you take paracetamol? No, you don't. When you get established fully, you don't require these upayas or means anymore.
So wonderful. Just any one more question we can take up.
Sure.
Can I ask?
Karuna ji, namaste.
नमस्ते सर। आपने कहा कि 25 सूत्र, मतलब कर्मेंद्रिया, ज्ञानेंद्रिया, प्राणा, वो 25, राइट? और आपने कहा कि कश्मीर सत्संग क्या उसमें आप लोग 11 और तत्वों के बारे में बताते हैं, तो मुझे वो थोड़ी सी क्यूरियोसिटी हो रही है कि वो 11 तत्व क्या है?
ओके। उसमें से पहले तो 6 करुणा जी है माया शक्ति और उनके कंचुका। क्योंकि जो पुरुषा है उसकी एक प्रकृति है, लेकिन वो लिबरेटेड पुरुषा नहीं है, वो रियलाइज नहीं कर चुका है। उसके ऊपर फिर भी माया के आवरण है। ये माया के आवरण कैसे हैं? कला, कि आप सारी चीज़ें, सारी कलाएं तो जानते नहीं हैं। काला, आप यहाँ पर अभी 2022 में हैं, प्रेजेंट ये मोमेंट पर। आप 1938 और 2045 में तो अवेलेबल, एक ही साइमल्टेनियस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पर अवेलेबल नहीं है। ये दूसरा कंचुका हुआ, दूसरा आवरण हुआ आपके ऊपर। आप यहाँ पर बैठी हैं, लेकिन आप समझिए अभी पुणे में हैं, ठीक है? पुणे में आप बैठी हैं, तो आप कोलकाता में नहीं हैं और मुंबई में नहीं हैं और एम्स्टर्डम में अभी इसी वक्त नहीं है। इसे कहते हैं नियति। तो ऐसे 5 कंचुक हैं जो माया शक्ति आपके ऊपर आवरण डालती हैं। बट लेकिन माया शक्ति क्यों है? माया शक्ति भी शिव की ही एक देन है। To see his playful nature, he embeds us with this Maya. That he wants to see, I've created millions like myself. मैंने अपने जैसे लाखों करोड़ों लोगों को बनाया हुआ है, लेकिन कौन एक इंसान वो छूट कर आता है और जानता है कि मैं कौन हूं, कि मैं अंदर ही हूं। तो उस माया शक्ति को डाला गया है। जब तक आप माया शक्ति से फाइट करते रहोगे कि मुझे माया शक्ति को ब्रेक करना है, माया शक्ति को ब्रेक करना है, मैं एक चीज़ आपको कह देता हूँ, लाखों लोगों ने हज़ारों सालों से ट्राई तो बहुत किया है कि माया शक्ति के ऊपर अपना बल रखें। एक भी इंसान अभी तक नहीं है कि जो माया शक्ति के जाल से छूट चुका हो। एक इंसान मुझे बताइए, एक सिद्ध पुरुष ऐसा बताइए कि कह सकता है कि आज सूरज तू पूरब से नहीं निकलेगा। एक इंसान। उसके बाद में आता है शुद्ध विद्या तत्व, फिर सदाशिव तत्व, फिर ईश्वर तत्व, और लास्ट में आता है शिवा और शक्ति तत्व, जो एक ही है। और सबसे ऊपर उनके आता है पराभैरव तत्व, जो सभी में है लेकिन किसी में भी नहीं। तो ये हुए अगले 11।
थैंक यू।
लेकिन
कुछ
इसकी
कुछ समझ
जानकारी मैं
आया।
अभी इतने 5 मिनट में नहीं दे सकता। उसके लिए लगभग 2 घंटे 2 या 3 घंटे ज़रूरी है कि मैं आपको तत्व पूरी तरह से
यस
समझा सकूं।
यस यस सर, थैंक यू। मतलब मैं इतनी ग्रेटफुल हूँ कि आज मैं करीबन करीबन शायद 1 साल बाद में इस ग्रुप को ज्वाइन किया है, और इतनी
जी,
लकी हूँ कि मुझे आप आज मिले। थैंक यू
हम भी लकी हैं कि
सर।
आपने ज्वाइन किया 1 साल बाद, करुणा जी। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू।
Perfect. Thank you very much. I have another group which is known as the sadhana group, where I'm going to continue with the sadhana and practice properly over there as well. Thank you very much. Om Namah Shivaya. Aditya ji, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.